To understand and explore the character of God is almost like asking the question of the chicken and the egg. Did God come first and create a narcissistic being in his own image? Or did man come first and create a narcissistic God to justify man's own actions? We discussed this in our latest episode of Drop the Stones that came out yesterday, available now on all streaming platforms and YouTube. Check it out. But we discuss just this nature of God and how he's been represented and portrayed by religious folks all around, and how narcissistic and vengeful and just basically an all-around dick that he is. Because there's all sorts of things that get justified by man because God told him to do so. You know, one of the examples we brought up was based in the purity culture, and how because man is created the way he is to be a visual beast that can't control himself by the sight of the flesh of any woman, that women have to take it upon themselves to protect the men, because men can't have any accountability. And this is derived from the sanctions of God and how he created us and taught us? Or is this just a cop-out that man is used to push an agenda on the women, to make them take the fall and the blame for anything that a man may do? Seems to me that might be more of the case, is that in order to justify abhorrent behavior and to get away with it and kind of explain it away, man said, it's not my fault. You're the one that let me see your shoulder. You're the one that acted the way you acted. You came on to me and acted all nice. What was I supposed to expect? And just to put this blame on someone, innocent victim, because you can't handle the consequences of your own actions, but then to say it's justified by God and that's how we were created and made in his image to live this life. God made me this way. It's an abhorrent thought and idea. It creates a deity that these men have created in themselves to protect them, to allow them to do whatever they want and justify it in whatever action. And we see it throughout history when you see peoples being colonized and taken over in the name of God, and whole cultures destroyed and obliterated from the face of the earth. Even though Christians today will say, no, the Old Testament God was different than the New Testament, this was a plain example of the Old Testament God coming back out, taking native peoples out of their own lands, replacing them and telling them it was in the name of God and that they had to bow down before their God, otherwise they were going to be done away with. All these actions that are done justify man's greed, his own arrogance, his own narcissistic tendencies, because this God definitely reflects a lot of the narcissistic people I know in my life. It's almost like the Bible should be renamed, I'm sorry you made me do this to you, a collection of stories by God, because he is reflected by the Christian faith and taught to us and shown what he is. And it is truly a narcissistic, arrogant, just being that can't take responsibility for anything he's ever done or did, and has to justify it or blame it on other people. You know, I'm going to punish you for eternity because you won't believe in me, and because Adam and Eve ate the apple and disobeyed and got the knowledge of good and evil. It's not my fault that you did that to yourself, even though he could, with a swift, snap of his fingers, correct it all. No, it's never any of his fault. Nothing's ever imperfect in him, and we have to claim that it's always perfect with him, because he's a narcissist and he needs constant adulation. It doesn't sound like an all-wise, all-knowing deity. It sounds like man created a deity to justify his own actions.